If you were abused or neglected as a kid, you may have this common symptom in adulthood that affects so many of us. And it's an attraction to people who cannot have a real relationship with you. Either they aren't into you, they don't care about you, or they aren't available, literally, or they're completely inappropriate. And it's horrible because even when you can see that this person is in front of you is not good for you, it's only going to bring pain and shame into your life, yet you can't resist the relationship. And if this is you, just know you're not alone. My letter today is from a woman I'll call Tanisha, and she writes, "Hi, Anna. I want to thank you for the work you do. I love your straightforward way of delivering help with CPTSD. Right now, I'm involved in a flirtatious pen pal situation with someone who is in jail." Whew, okay. It's not for petty crime either, okay? I enjoy talking to him, but I'm not at all deluded about where this is likely headed. Him anticipating a relationship when he's released, or him asking me for help while still incarcerated. Okay, I've got the fairy pencil. I'm going to start circling stuff here that I want to come back to on a second reading. But right now, I'm just going to read through. Let's hear what you got going on. Okay. So so either he's anticipating a relationship when he's out, or he's going to want help while he's still in, neither of which you're interested in. You say, "I'm using him to fill a void and I can't stop myself." Yeah. Okay. When I say I enjoy it, I mean the conversations do enough to fill a deep-seated loneliness I feel on a daily basis. I'm 25, female, college-educated, childless, still trying to find my footing in the world. I've allowed myself to be distracted by one man after another because sometimes doing life feels too hard, and I'd rather stay in bed all day manufacturing feelings from our correspondence. Yes, I'm currently unemployed, but, oh dear, but seriously looking and interviewing thanks to one of your other videos. I know this isn't right. I know I can do better, but I can't seem to actually do better. I honestly don't know what it is I'm doing. I went to college with hopes of escaping from a volatile home. I left my mom's care, or lack thereof, at the age of 10 because she was so chronically unstable. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Under my grandmother's care, I grew up with verbal and physical abuse, and there was a drug addict and an alcoholic in the home. My childhood was marked by intense fear and uncertainty about what was coming next. Ironically, I felt like I was in a prison, and I still do. I escaped for a year before work started to overwhelm me, and I abruptly quit. This happens a lot. Then I had to come back home. It's been a struggle every day, and I'm still angry at myself for it. To feel better, I initiate and accept advances from men I don't take seriously and would never marry. But Anna, I'm so lonely. It brings tears to my eyes. I don't talk to the people I live with because honestly, I don't like them. They remind me of my childhood. I don't have close friends anymore. I push them all away. And eventually I push all the guys who are interested in me away too. They all say the same things about me too. I'm crazy, my mood is up and down, I have an attitude problem, I'm snappy, etc. My question is, what should my next move be? I'm spiritually dying. Oh, my heart goes out to you. All right, let's go through what you told me here. You have a flirtatious pen pal situation, but this is a pattern for you. You said you accept advances from men who you don't take seriously and would never marry. So, from the outside, this all makes total sense to me. After the kind of childhood you had, I can understand maybe better than most what it's like to just kind of you need your backup source out there. You need to know that there's somebody you can call to hang out with. And when you actually cannot deal with somebody's emotional needs, you don't really want the whole thing. And yes, it's so lonely. And it's funny how people can be so complicated. We can, because we can simultaneously want someone so bad, but push everybody away who's suitable, and then attach ourselves emotionally to people who are completely unavailable. This is so normal for traumatized kids. It's a thing, you're not alone. There's really nothing wrong with you. You're showing like classic signs of somebody who grew up the way you did. It's normal to develop these symptoms. So first of all, try to take the shame off. It's okay that you're like this. it's not your fault what happened to you. You didn't ask to be treated in an abusive way as a kid, or to have your emotional needs completely neglected and stomped on and threatened. You didn't ask for that. But here we are, you're 25, and it's time for you to try to change the course of your life. And the truth of the matter is, like, no man, even a good one, is going to come and save you from this. There's an internal healing it's rearing up for you right now. Like, the sign that it's upon you is the pain you're going through right now. That you're doing your old thing and it is not working for you. You know it. It's coming up empty. That's how healing begins. It's a beautiful thing, really. It's holy. And this is where that inner power comes from to do something. As you said, you know you shouldn't do it. You know you should do better, but you can't seem to actually do better. So what we call that in my program, in the membership program, we just call that not having power. And when we talk about power in the context of CPTSD in my program, what we're talking about is the strength inside to, like, see where you need to go and follow through on it. It takes a lot of power to do these things. Like, when you're really down, it's almost impossible to brush your teeth. When you're really down, when you're so depressed you can hardly get up off the floor, right? You can't call for help. And then some days, power comes into you. Where does that come from? Well, different people have a different experience of that. I'm a God person, but I know that whatever people believe about it, it sort of wells up inside as if we have a spring inside, and some sort of energy and power comes inside of us to do the right thing. And the right thing sits there when the right thing is just kind of like inside you. You know the right thing. It's talking to you. It's telling you, not this, this. And that's what I see happening to you. Power is showing up. Power is showing up to make you have a distaste for what you've been doing and a desire to do something different, even though you don't yet have enough power to do that, to see what is it that you have to do. But gosh, you wrote a letter to me. I mean, that takes tremendous power. So good job, Tanisha. This guy who's in prison, yeah. If you have the strength, I would just cut that off, just very kindly. It's not his fault. Just very kindly, just end it, as nice as you can without hurting him unnecessarily. He may be disappointed. I'm sure it was a bright spot in his life, but that doesn't mean that you throw your life under the bus with somebody who cannot be with you. As a 25-year-old woman, you have this, talk about power. There's a beautiful power inside of a young woman who would like to have a relationship, and a man. This is something that we carry within us, and we have it to give. We have something to give, and it makes the world go round. It drives people crazy. All music is about this power, and I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about fertility, the power to give ourselves, what they used to call troth, the part of you that can marry, like this whole package person where you're capable, you can earn money, you're knowledgeable, you could have babies, you could build a house, you could create a company. Like, you are just full of possibility. And so, what a special creature you are for one day giving yourself to somebody in a full relationship. But of course it would have to be reciprocal. And of course it can't be with somebody who can't be with you. And so I totally understand, like, this is really not analogous, but I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes, a couple packs a day. And that was one of the things that I leaned on. Not the only one, but one of the things. And I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop because for the longest time, it was really like the only way that I could get some relief from just the stress of being me. It was very stressful being me and having to, pay the rent and earn a living and deal with people and maybe find a boyfriend, all of that. I was constantly under a lot of stress around it. And sometimes I just needed out. I just needed to go outside on the porch and smoke a cigarette, and it was a symbolic act. And I just wouldn't be surprised if, even though yours has potential, it has different repercussions, right? Dealing with real people is stressful. For those of us who have CPTSD, people are triggering. And by triggering, I mean it sets off a neurological change that makes us dysregulated, and it's very hard to manage. And we can get very upset in that state, and we can make terrible mistakes in all areas of our lives. So it's sane and rational to not want to get dysregulated. And so if hanging out with people just sets it off and you're just like, I get so overwhelmed by them, Or I get so depressed I can't get out of bed and then I can't go to work. Like, it is threatening. Like, real people in real relationships, I will tell you, I really used to think that if I could just marry a nice man, like, my problems would be solved. And I wasn't raised to believe that the Prince Charming thing worked like that, but I just did in my heart of hearts. And I will say that getting married does involve a healing, and it goes very deep, but it didn't solve all my problems. It didn't solve my anxious attachment. It didn't solve the thing where I just can't deal with people, or where, I just feel so angry sometimes and frustrated and not heard and can't really cope with my own feelings. Like, I've made tremendous progress. I've been married almost 10 years. But the hardest period of our relationship, which we've been together 15 years, was the first 2 years, when I began to sort of wake up and go, oh, wow, I still am really scared I'm going to get abandoned. I still feel like I'm in a little bubble where nobody can reach me. I still have all these things that I used to feel as a single person. I still had financial worries. I still had, social worries. It was all still there. Like, wherever you go, there you are, even in marriage, right? And so it's very deep, this idea, for us straight women, that a man is going to come along and there's this profound wholeness that will kick in. And that wholeness really is meant for you. It is meant for you. And you finding someone to love and be loved by is part of it. But I think what happens, and I don't blame Disney, I don't blame Disney. It's really like mostly me, mostly my difficulty, my trauma, my developmental delay as a result of not being loved properly when I was a kid, and then my mismanagement of my special powers and my troth when I was younger, that caused me to have so much fear inside and so much anxiety around having somebody actually committed to me and actually committing myself to another person. And that commitment is very powerful. It's a very big deal. So why would a kid who had been through what you had been through find that easy? I don't know, some people talk about it like, and then I met so-and-so and everything was easy, but it's just not like that, is it? So it's a growth process, and it's a growth process that can go better and faster and open your life up sooner and more when you turn towards it, rather than run away from it. And that's what cigarettes are. That's what guys in jail are. We're just kind of like, I just want the quick thing. I want the quick thing that makes me feel better, while I sit and figure out how am I going to get the real thing that I need, a human being to be with in real life. How will I ever have that? And all the self-hatred that comes up and all the, resentment at people and all their BS and all that. So this is why you'll often hear me talk about my daily practice techniques. I always have a link down in the description section. It's a simple thing that I do twice a day to free myself of all that they call it in England chuntering. This like talking to myself silently about like everything's so hard. I'm so tired. I'm just sick of all this. And gosh, I'm awful. Why am I such an idiot? All that stuff that goes on in your head when you have complex PTSD. I think everybody has it, but I think we have it worse. And it really makes it hard to progress. It just makes it hard to progress. It takes up a lot of space. It makes a lot of noise. And you can get free of it, one little chunk at a time. I would recommend that to you, so that you can make a space to grow. And then it is so important to align yourself and spend time with other women who are also healing and recovering from trauma and from terrible relationship patterns. And boy, do I know where you can find some. You can find some in my program. They're wonderful. These women aren't going to fix you and solve your problems either, but they're people that you can be honest with about what's really going on. Because what happens if you're living your life in a way that you have secrets, you feel ashamed about what's really going on or how you get your security or how you cope, that secrecy and not talking to people can tend to make it very, very stuck. You calcify on it. When you talk to people, it helps you get perspective. It helps release some of the shame. You have relatedness. You laugh together about the whole thing. And you have people to spend time with so that you're not alone. When you say, I'm so alone, I could cry. I know I know that place. I spent so many years there. And it means the world to have some women friends who you hang out with, but not the kind where you can't be yourself, the kind where you must be yourself. Where that's the whole point of your relationship, and people are maybe, well, I was going to suggest to you, you check out Al-Anon for families of alcoholics. You check out, maybe that's for you, or maybe it's ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Other Dysfunctional Families. Maybe it's Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. I would encourage you, like, try several meetings in each of those and see, do you resonate? Do you meet women there where you feel it, where you feel like, yeah, I want what they have? I would really encourage you to check that out, because it's free and because it's based on one person helping another person. It's very wholesome like that. And yes, you can get into scrapes, and I don't recommend dating in those programs. And if you were to ever go to a mixed program and somebody hit on you, just say no. It's not a good place to date. And especially, I would say, Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, 2 of them together, just forget about it. You're just there to heal. You're there to heal and get on with your life, not to, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I would just encourage you to check it out. It can introduce a big positive direction. It's a spiritual program. It's if you're serious about recovery, you would go several times a week, and it starts to be a real presence in your life. And if you take to it, a change in your consciousness begins to happen that feels so good and so exciting and hopeful. If you could have even half of that excitement and hope that came upon me when I started going into 12-step recovery, it would be the most lovely thing. The loneliness would be over. No more loneliness. There's always people. And there's a way for you to heal the things that stand between you and being able to deal with people. And if you have things that are unpleasant about you, I do. And you have a way to look at that and work on that too. Like, people who take those programs seriously improve as people. There is a way. And I find that very hopeful. So I encourage you to go. In the short run, for this very dating thing, I would invite you, come check out my dating course. I have a program that's just for people with childhood PTSD. I'll put a link to it down below. It's always there. And the dating course, it teaches about how to really set the bar. Like, what is it that you really want? This is the hardest thing for people who grew up with trauma. We got so used to not even thinking about it, denying it. No, I don't, selling ourselves short. So here, this is a place where you don't sell yourself short. You do the opposite. You aim very high. It doesn't matter if you don't get your high aims, right? We set the aim so that we can really get in touch with what we need and where we're trying to go. And then my program teaches you how to date accordingly. You only date people who fit that vision for yourself, and you decline to date people who don't, which in the beginning feels really hard. But very soon you begin to wonder, like, why would I ever even think of dating someone who didn't meet these basic criteria I have about what I know that I need? So anyway, you can take that. Anybody here watching can take that. I have a link to it right here, and I will see you very soon.